Guy, how far now?
Omo, I'm not really fine. Do you know they paid me last week and right now I can't even boost up to 10,000 naira in my account?
Seriously?
Yes.
Did you budget?
Which one is budgeting? I'm not a politician.
That's when your money is missing like NEPA light.
But I didn't buy anything serious, shoes, bags, the thing that guys need now. And just like that, fiam, the money has disappeared.
But it's all these little things. That's what is taking your money.
But what should I do?
See, you have to create a budget. You have to track your spending. You have to prioritize your needs over your wants. And you have to save before you spend, not the other way around.
So what you're trying to say that this money management thing is no child's play?
It's no child's play at all.
The Money Click is an annual financial literacy program to help you up your money game. The Money Click is not just about money, it's about mindset. So in the Money Click program, go beyond budgeting to rewire your thinking, to rewire your mindset, to change your thinking about income, to change your thinking about money management. So we'll help you grow your income, we'll help you manage it, we'll help you invest with confidence. Money is not just about what you know. Money is more about how you behave. And every day in the Money Click program, what we'll try to do is to influence how you behave about money. This is not just financial education. This is financial transformation. I will hope to see you become a part of it. Thank you.
Okay, hello everyone, and good afternoon, and welcome to our live session here on Thursday afternoon. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Thank you for being here. Happy to have you all here today. Apologies that we're starting late today, but we've just tried to squeeze in and make sure we are here. We sincerely apologize for coming here late, but we want to assure you that we're going to make this class short, sharp, and straight to the point. All right, so thank you so much, everyone, for being here today. My name is Rimesh Chukwuemeka, and I'm your billionaire coach and the founder of the Naira Academy. So today we're going to be looking at another very interesting topic. Yesterday I told you that we're not done with yesterday's topic, right? Today we're going to be looking at blaming. So we're looking at the 3 cardinal points of victimhood. We looked at complaining yesterday. Today we'll look at blaming, right? So we're going to look at how blaming keeps others financially stuck. How blaming keeps others financially stuck. All right. Thank you so much for joining. Yes, I see Madam Tony George is already here. Was the first to join after. Okay, it was the second after Mrs. Ahonsi. I see Madam Freedom. I see Madam Ebele. So many people here today. Thank you so much. Tita Academy, yes, welcome and welcome. Welcome. I even see Repertoire Knowledge Hub, our very own distributor in Lagos. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here today. And let's get into what we have for you today. So, how blaming others keep you financially stuck or keep people financially stuck? All right. Now, the thing is, blame explains pain, but it doesn't create progress. What creates progress is responsibility, right? The problem with people who blame a lot is that they blame without taking responsibility. So when they're blaming, they're pushing out the responsibility away from themselves. So many people remain financially stuck, not because they are not intelligent, but simply because they live in a habit of blame. There are people that never take responsibility for anything, right? Nothing. They are always blaming other people for their misfortune, for their problems. They blame the government. Where government no show face, they blame their parents. In fact, they just taught us money blueprints. My parents, you're the cause of this problem. Where they can't blame their parents, they blame their backgrounds. If not for this background, I know where I'll be by now. Have you heard people say that? If not for this background, if not for this, I know where I'll be now. If I was not born to this, my parents, I would have gone far by now. Some people blame their spouse. Some people blame their spouse, if not for the kind of spouse that I married. I know my friend who married this other man or this other woman. I know where they are. If not the kind of spouse I married that is laying me back. Now I'm laid back. Blame. People blame the economy. Yes, the economy is bad. But if all you're going to do is blame it, you're not going to, just like I said yesterday, you will never see opportunities in the same economy. No matter how bad the economy becomes, no matter how bad it is, there's always an opportunity. But the question is, are you training your mind to see those opportunities, or are you just blaming? People won't even blame rich people. Rich people. People say, that the problem in this country, in fact, the problem of the whole world are rich people. Rich people, you need to see where people are bad-mouthing rich people. Oh, rich people are all the problem. Oh, rich people are wicked. Oh, rich people do this. Rich people just take from the poor. Oh, rich people just keep taking. They never stop taking. You know, they're waiting for just one problem, one thing where one rich man go do. Hey, when they use mouth finish am. I was Man, Anthony Jones, please give us the gist to give us the gist, man. Give us the gist for this blame matter. We want to hear it. So one day, so I just went on Instagram and I saw a certain celebrity, who brought out the registry for her baby. Oh, you need to see the comments. Rich people, they never stop taking. As you reach, so you still want people to contribute money for your baby. Hey, it shows how much the mindset of the poor are towards the rich. It shows how bad it is. And it all comes from a place of programming. Now, let one problem happen. The rich person is to be blamed. Have you ever seen fights between the rich and the poor? Have you ever seen fights between the rich and the poor? The only person they usually blame are the rich. They just want to oppress them. Oh, they just want to do that. The rich would always be blamed because the people who are doing the blaming are the poor. Right? People blame their misfortune for where they were born. People say, the problem is that I was born in Nigeria. If only I was born in Canada. The problem is that I was born in... Who gave birth to me in Ghana? Who gave birth to me? Ghana. Of all places to give birth, you gave birth to me in Limpopo. Why didn't you give birth to me in Ottawa? Why didn't I come from Ottawa? Why am I from Limpopo? Right? People blame even where they were born. Yes, Madam Tony George, thank you so much. So, Madam Tony George says, some people blame the church and pastors. Coach, you never see something. They say, church don't say there are poor people among them, and the church, they still help. Thank you so much for this. It's so bad now that pastors can't even express themselves anymore. A pastor just says, they say, you're using all the money. Why don't you bring it and share to the poor? Now, it also comes from that mindset, right? That mindset of thinking that you are entitled to something. That's why people feel, pastors, why are you driving private jet? Bring the money and share it to the poor. You're driving private jet, but the roads are bad. Somehow, pastors now even take the blame for what the government is supposed to do. Very unfortunate. They take blame for what the government get work. Government not do their work. They would leave the government and go and hold on to. It is Emily say I should leave Limpopo. Yes, this is another one. Thank you so much, Madam Ronke. Madam Ronke says, when car jam bike man. Oh my God. Have you ever seen a car crash with a bike and a car? The whole bike in that vicinity will gather around that car. The car is at fault. No matter what happens, the car is at fault. They must blame the car. Now all these people will carry car because they're not carry car. When they do, all the blame must go to the person who is driving the car. Right? Yes, poor people work hard now. You will not blackmail. Yes, Limpopo collect well. Pastors are really the easy targets. Really the easy targets. Any little thing, now pastors people carry from out. Any little thing. Road no bad, they will call pastors. Oh, bring the money that you're using to build the church. Let us use it and build. What rubbish. And it's because we have this culture of blame. You know, the culture of blame is so bad that people will blame the government for things they can fix themselves. And at the end of the day, we need to even ask ourselves, who is the government? We're all part of the government. People will blame the government for not keeping the streets clean, but at the same time, they're the ones littering the streets. They're the ones littering the streets. Thank you so much for this. Tita Academy says, when a rich man takes a poor man to court for his rent, even the judge will blame the rich man for wanting to collect his money. It's really unfortunate. Honestly, it's really unfortunate. Right? Please, I see. Okay, I'm sure you can hear me now. Everybody can hear me now. I'm sure everybody can hear me. So it's quite unfortunate how much blame can do to us. How much blame can do to us. Right? Now, let's be honest. Sometimes certain factors, right, create difficulty. Sometimes the economy can create difficulty. Right? Sometimes your blueprints, your background can be part of your problems. Right? Sometimes it could be that the government isn't doing what they're supposed to do. Right? We agree. We agree. All these things can delay progress. Things like this can create real pain. They can make the journey harder, fighting against that blueprint that is pulling you backwards. But the truth is, blame may explain why life is hard, but it rarely builds a better future. So all this reality exists, but nothing gets better by just blaming. Oh yes, fine and good. You grew up in an environment where, you got to see debt as a normal thing. Today, you're hugely, heavily in debt. That's your reality. But for you to have a better future, it would not change by just blaming that environment you grew up in. Blaming doesn't change anything. It doesn't change anything. It doesn't. Right? No, I was referring to Limpopo, actually. I was referring to Limpopo. Right? Now, okay, so yes, I see another comment here by Blessing the Bella. Says, I once stopped to pick a neighbor in my car. She refused to enter the next. Right? She refused to enter the next. She told me that because small girl like you have car, you want to oppress me by wanting to lift me. Hey, whoa. This is interesting. This is this is very interesting. Now, let me tell you a story that connects to this. Several years ago, right? So many years ago. So my sister and I, we were driving here in Abuja, and I've forgotten where we were going to, and something happened along the way. There was no crash, there was nothing. So, but the issue was with another driver, and that's how the guy, I think he was a taxi guy. The taxi guy just, brought out his head. These stupid Abuja children, I don't blame una now. Una papa don't buy motor give una that they misbehave. That day, we had a good laugh. We had a good laugh. Right? So yes, no matter what the situation would be, just get solutions. Look for solutions. Nothing would ever change by blaming and blaming more. Right? Yes, I see people here in the on YouTube. Yes, our YouTube is back, just in case. Right? We're actually using our personal YouTube here, not the Naira Academy, but that's what we're going to be using for now. And I see quite a lot of people. I see Madam Mercy. I think this is Billionaire. I think this is cohort 2. Our cohort 2 leader's husband, Mr. Emeka, here with us. I see Madam Ngozi and quite a lot of people. Please, you're all welcome. You're all welcome. Now, I want us to look at why blame feels good. Why does blame feel good? See, blame gives a temporary emotional relief. You know, when at the point when you're blaming, and it's not even just about the government or situation, even when you're fighting with your spouse, at the point when you're blaming, you feel good. You know, it says it's not my fault. Oh, they are the reason. Is this people? Is this situation? Right? You try to put it away from you. And the truth is, it can be very comforting. It feels comforting. But another truth is that comfort is not progress. Comfort is not progress. So what you need is not comfort. What you need is progress. It's progress. So there are a lot of things that blame comes to do to us. The first disadvantage of blame, number one, is that blame shifts focus away from what you can control. Every life has two zones, whether we like it or not. There are two zones of life: what you cannot control and what you can control. The problem is that when you're blaming, your brain is blocked. You cannot think of the things you can control anymore. Now, here are the things you cannot control. You cannot control inflation. You cannot control politics. You cannot control other people's decision. You cannot control past family mistakes. In case your parents have made mistakes in the past that it affected you, you can't control it. If there's a global downturn in the economy, you can't control it. When COVID-19 pandemic happened, you couldn't control it. But here is what you can control. You can control your skills. So you can tell yourself, oh, I was not raised with certain skills like this, but I can learn. You can control your spending habits. It's your responsibility. You can control the rate at which you save and not save. You can control your discipline. It's within your control. You can control what you learn per time. You can control your attitude. You can control your consistency. You can control your network. You can control how much you earn. But the problem with blaming is that once you start blaming, the only thing you see are the things you cannot control. You no longer see the things you can control. Your mind is blocked away from the things you can control. Right? You no longer see them. So you need to be able to stop blaming and realize that in every situation, there are things you cannot control and there are things you can control. And if you concentrate on the things you can control, you would not be among those who are crying. That's the truth. So blaming keeps your attention fixed on one zone, and that's the zone of the things you cannot control. So every day you're just like, my inflation, I get you. Have you seen growing up? There used to be this, I don't know if it still exists, where people gather at the newspaper stands, to read headlines on the newspaper. Oh, if you want to hear the latest gist, right, in town, go to those newspaper stands. And what you get there, you see this blaming thing. Oh my God. Oh, the government is this. Oh, the government. In fact, sometimes they argue at those newspaper stands that they nearly get to the point of exchanging blows. They talk about politics. They talk about inflation. They talk about all the things affecting them that they cannot control. But nobody talks about what they can control. That's why they rarely make progress. So we need to understand that growth begins in these two zones. It begins in acknowledging what you cannot control, and as well acknowledging what you can control and running with what you can control. There are things you can control. Your personal finance is within your control. You might not be able to control the inflation, the price of things in the market, but how you earn is totally within your control. But you know the problem? The problem is because you're fixated so much on the inflation. You're fixated so much on the anger you have for the government for causing so much high inflation that you're not thinking of how you can make more. For you to think, You need to find yourself in a space where, like, for those in the inner circle, Coach Etima was talking about rest today. You need to get your mind at a state of rest for you to be creative. But when you're constantly blaming, there is no rest for your mind. Number two, blame delays hard but necessary decisions. So sometimes people blame external factors, but they are avoiding the internal truths. For example, let's say you're blaming low salary, but you're wasting even the small one that is coming to you. I'm not paid much, but within 1 week, you spent everything. You spent everything. Right? You're blaming the economy, but you're refusing to learn new skills. Oh, they are telling you that the skill you have already is outdated. It's not even doing much anymore. In fact, they are saying that AI, that AI is taking over the skill that you have, but you've refused to learn new skills and you're just blaming the economy. You're blaming your family, but you're repeating the same poor money habits. You're blaming business conditions, but you lack consistency. You can't even show up when you're supposed to show up. Some days you show up, some days you don't show up. Some days they come to look for you, nobody sees you. They're like, there's one shop down the road that leads to my street. One day I was telling my wife, this shop, it's a supermarket. I was telling my wife, this supermarket is the most unserious supermarket I've ever seen in my life. They open when they like. They close when they like. Some days you don't see them open. Some days you see them open. And such people would also be blaming the economy. They will tell you business is not doing well. When you don't show up every day, how would people know that you're really serious? Some people blame lack of capital. Oh, the problem they've not started business is lack of capital, but they're ignoring small starts. If you were in the webinar today in the inner circle, you'd have heard Coach Etima talk about small starts. How people have lofty big dreams. Lofty big dreams. They want to start from the top, build big hospital, but you're not starting from, you don't even want to start with a small clinic. You want to start with the big hospital. If you see some people's dreams, right? Some people's dreams are just inachievable. They have those big dreams, and when you ask them, why can't you start up something? They'll tell you that they don't have capital. The reason why they don't have capital is because their dreams are too big to start. They're ignoring the power in starting small. The power in starting small. What a lot of people do not realize is the people who are big today at some point started small. So you see them today and you forget that, oh, they've been on a journey that brought them to where they are. There's a process, there's a journey. They might have 10 branches across 10 cities today, but at the time, they had just a tiny kiosk. It took them time, years of consistency to build and get to where they are. But here you are, you just, from the blues, want to build 10 branches at once. And then you say, there's no capital. Capital, no, there's no. Why haven't you started something? There's no capital. Start with something that you don't even need capital at all, if possible. Start with the littlest of capital, the smallest of capital. Right? Oh, I like this. Madam Blessing says it is only grave that starts from the top. Interesting. So you need to start from bottom. You need to start from bottom. It's very, very important that we understand this. Right? Very important. We need to understand that life is in stages. Right? And at the stage where you are, start with what you can. Start with what you can. I remember a friend of mine, some years ago, started up a phone shop. When he started this phone shop, he just had a few phones, not even the good ones, the ones that had buttons, with a few accessories. Today, in that same location, he owns the biggest phone shop today. If he had told himself that he needed capital to start up the phone business, he would not be where he is today. He will not be where he is today. Few years ago also, he started up another business, a provision business, from the phone business. He started small. Today, he has a whole warehouse. You need to learn to start small. Stop blaming lack of capital while you're ignoring the small starts. Right? So blame can become a hiding place from responsibility. You just blame capital and you just go and rest somewhere without taking responsibility. You just blame family. The family is the problem, and you just go and rest somewhere. Oh, they are the ones that gave me the blueprint. So you just go and sit down. Let's look at number 3. Number 3 is that blame creates learned helplessness. So if somebody repeatedly says nothing works, oh, people like us cannot succeed, this country is impossible, right? Only connected people rise. The only way you can, so people say it a lot in Nigeria, the only way you can succeed in Nigeria is by having connections. Is by having such connections. That's the only way that you can succeed in Nigeria. People believe these things, right? And the problem is when you believe things like this, slowly you stop trying. And that's what blame does. That's what I mean by blame creates helplessness. Because you're just blaming the government, oh, nothing is working. You're blaming everybody around you. This country is just impossible. It creates helplessness. See, the moment you tell yourself, that nothing can work for you in the country where you are, there's nothing that would ever work. Because you will stop trying, you will stop seeing the opportunities right in front of you. You stop seeing the opportunities that are right in front of you. If you're, let's say, for example, you're just fixated in just leaving that country, you want to go somewhere else, nothing will work for you in the current country where you are because all your mind is somewhere else. So there might be opportunities right in front of you and you would not see it. Why? Because you're not looking. And it's quite dangerous. Let's move on. You know, let's say you live in a place like Nigeria, right? And many other African countries, or even countries that are not African countries, that have quite some challenges, right? I'm talking about high inflation, talking about unemployment, weak systems, right? Unstable policies. This government comes in today, they make one. The next one comes in, they change things. You know, nothing is stable, right? These things are real. I'm not saying that they are not your reality. It is your reality. But one thing I'm telling you today, one message I want to take away from me being here today is that even inside these difficult systems, some people are still thriving. Some people are building skills. Some people are saving consistently. Some people are investing. People are starting businesses. People are investing gradually. People are improving their decision-making skills. Why? Because they focus on response, not only conditions. They're focused on making things better for themselves. They are taking responsibility. So the moment you get to the point where you're no longer taking responsibility, then things stop working for you, unfortunately. So we understand the situations that we find ourselves in, but I'm trying to tell you today, no matter how bad it is, you can still thrive. Right? Yes, not everybody can thrive. Not everybody will thrive. Not everybody will be rich. Not everybody will be poor. The question is, where do you want to belong? It's your decision. Where do you want to belong? Do you want to belong among those who be shouting, economy is bad, this is good? Or you want to be among those who are actually making things work? You are making things work. I often really tell people that poverty is a choice. It's a choice. Where you stand economically is a choice. How you move away from that choice is now dependent on a lot of things, including self-discipline. It's a decision. Let's move on. Number 4 is blame damages financial identity. So if your story is always, others are the reason I cannot grow. I don't know if somebody has stories like this, right? You will get stories like this from the village. I don't know people who go to the village quite often. Hey, village is where you will get stories like this. So, others are the reason I cannot. My brother is the reason why I cannot progress. That's the word they use in the village. Progress. Mr. KK's family is the reason we are not progressing in our own family. Blame damages financial identity. Right? And the moment you start blaming, your identity becomes dependent. So what do you need to do? You need to change your story. You need to change how you see things. Your story has to be, life is hard, but I can still improve something. And when you do that, you have a stronger identity. When you tell yourself others are the reason why I cannot grow, the identity becomes dependent. You now depend on others for everything. But once your story changes to life is hard, but I can still improve on something, you have a strong identity. And the truth is that your identity drives your behavior. So if you believe you can change things for yourself, it will drive you to change things. If you believe that, there's nothing that you can do anymore, all you can do is ask relatives for money, then that is what your identity will be. And every time you will find yourself asking and asking. Now, number 5 is responsibility is not self-hatred. Responsibility is not self-hatred. So taking responsibility does not mean blaming yourself for everything. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Because some people now say, okay, since you said I should not blame government now, okay, I should not blame government. I should not take responsibility. Now my fault say economy no good. Now my fault say economy no good. Let me blame myself. I am not saying you should blame yourself for everything. Right? What I'm saying is ask yourself certain questions. Taking responsibility means asking yourself vital questions that would help you improve. Asking yourself, what can I improve now? Asking yourself, what lessons can I extract? Asking yourself, what patterns must stop with me? Okay, if you believe that the patterns you have today are patterns you got from your parents, now, how do you stop these patterns? How do you stop your children from absorbing these patterns? How do you break the cycle? You should ask yourself, what step is still possible for you? What can you do? So responsibility is very powerful. Responsibility gives you solutions. It gives you possibilities. Right? It takes you away from that circle of blame. Blame is a circle. It's a circle where something goes wrong, you blame others completely, you learn very little because you blame the other people. Something that happened to you. But instead of you to accept and say, this thing that happened, maybe I went wrong somewhere. Where do I need to correct? You blame totally someone else. And when you do, you learn little or nothing. And you repeat the same habit again. And you stay stuck. Right? And then you now use your stuckness as proof that others are the cause. Can't you see that nothing is improving? It is this person, these people are my problems. And this loops into decades. This loop can last decades. You go from blaming others to always getting stuck. Something goes wrong, you blame other people, you learn little, you repeat the same habit again, you're stuck, you use that stuckness as proof that other people are the cause. Some people even tell people that, can't you see that two of us, we started this thing together, but now see where I am. This person has gone far. He's the cause, he's the reason why I'm not. People come to city. People leave their villages, go somewhere else to go and try out to become better. And when things don't work out, they blame their village people. One village is loading. I'm waiting for it back. They blame their village people. Thank you. My village, my brother has my akaraka. My brother has my destiny. They've stolen my destiny. Don't wonder. The day I went to that man's house, he brought food and he ate with me from the same plate. He was eating my destiny. Hi, Jesus. Jesus Christ. Right? So people blame everything. They go and try out the business. They are the ones who made the business not to work. Right? They made the business not to work, but they blame. Oh, they say now the problem is that Lagos is not a good place. Lagos is a terrible place. Somebody went to Lagos at some point, had a thriving business, and then at some point the business collapsed, and they say business is not Lagos is not a place, not a good place. Somebody goes to another city and try out things, it doesn't work out. They say the problem is that city. I'll tell you a very something that happened to someone who used to work for me. He was working as admin and he was working somewhere else at the same time. And at some point, he was working virtually for me. And while he was doing that virtual work, he had a daytime job that he was also doing in Makurdi where he was. One day, this boy woke up and he said he was leaving Makurdi to go back to live with his parents. I said, why? Why are you leaving Makurdi? He said that the town is the problem why he has stayed there for 5 years that has not progressed. I said, you've not progressed? Same you that have all the bad money habits in the world and you're blaming it on the city. That's how crazy things can be. It can become so crazy that right in your face, staring in the face that you're the problem, but you don't want to take blame, you don't take responsibility. You're blaming the city. How do you blame a whole city for your downfall? Let me read out the story from Mrs. Tony George. She says an uncle in the village said because he didn't have eyeglasses, that's why he didn't go to school. That if not, he would have made money. But since he gets money from family members, he has still not made it. Right? Did you get that? I read it again. An uncle in the village said, because he didn't have eyeglasses, that's why he didn't go to school. If not, he would have made money. But since he gets money from family members, he still has not made it. Even with the money he's getting, he has still not used it to do anything. How can you blame? He didn't go to school because he didn't have eyeglasses. Oh my God. Hey, Jesus. Oh my God. Right. The King's Mindset Hub says the worst of this version I have personally seen is a wife who said they said it's her husband that is using her destiny. Oh my God. Right? Kai, this is a family you admire. Right? The wife had a store, children in highbrow school. The wife said that it's her husband that is using her destiny. People just want to blame, which is Emily says, laughing in Swahili. Oh my God. I would like to hear the Swahili laugh. Oh, Jesus. Interesting. You know, the first time I ever heard someone say this, I had a priest when we were in secondary school. So he just came back from Tanzania. He spent years in Tanzania. And he speaks Swahili quite well. And whenever he does something, he'll tell you, I'm laughing in Swahili. Once he says that, you will receive flogging. You will. Okay. Yes, the King's My Hope says the family is apart now. Eventually, I was like, if it's me, let the husband be using it to Abi. She the husband is using her destiny. She is for the family. It's benefiting everybody. What's there? It's interesting. Honestly, ma, I'm laughing hard today. It's interesting how people push out blames. It's very interesting, right? People will blame you for what? People blame, people just want to take out the blame away from themselves. The fact, the first day that boy told me that he blames his financial misfortune on the city, I told him he now moved to another city that was more expensive and all that. So I asked him, so you couldn't survive with all the money you were earning in this city where you didn't have to spend much, and you're going to a city that is more expensive. How do you think things will turn out for you? Blame, right? Blame. Now, the question is, instead of blaming, what do you do instead? What do you do instead? So when something goes wrong, you need to ask yourself two questions. The first question is, ask yourself, what external factors affected this? What external factors affected this? Right? And try to be honest with you, with your answer to yourself. The next question is, what internal factors can I improve next time? These are the two questions you ask yourself. What external factors led to this situation? What internal factors can I improve? Did you get that? Now, you're not asking yourself what external factors you can improve, because the external factors are not within your control. The second question is, what internal factors can I improve next time? Why? Because you only have control within your internal factors. That's the only thing you have control over. So what I'm trying to say here is, recognize the external factors, but focus on improving with your internal factors. That should be your focus. All right? That should be your focus. And that is what thing that will change everything for you. Yes, the external factors exist, but for you to move forward, look inward. Look for something that you can improve inward and use it to compensate for the external factors that you cannot change. All right? I'll give you an example. Now, instead of telling yourself, my salary is too small, like some people that carry like a gong, right? They sing like a song every day, my salary is too small. Ask yourself, how can I increase skills? Right? How can I increase my skill value? Ask yourself, where are my leaks? What is making my salary not to be enough? What am I spending on? What is my money leak? Where is my money leaking? Ask yourself, what side income can I start? Okay, since I need more, what more can I do to make more money? Instead of saying my family drained me, ask yourself, what boundaries must I build? You can't just keep saying my family is draining me. They're taking they're always asking. What boundaries can you build? Build boundaries. We've taught classes like for this in the past. Build boundaries. What budgets protects your generosity and progress? Create budget to protect your generosity and progress. Instead of saying market is bad, ask yourself, what strategy works in this season? See, blame keeps the past alive. Responsibility builds the future. So look to take responsibility. Some people are waiting for fairness before they move. But the truth is, progress belongs to those who move before conditions are perfect. So you may not control where you started, but you can influence where you finish. So if blame have become your normal response, it may be costing you more than just money. It may be costing you growth, which is even costlier than money. Right? Because when you're blaming, you're handing over all the power to others. When you're blaming the government for everything about your finance, you're handing all the power to the government. When you're blaming the economy, you're handing all the power to the government. When you're blaming your village people, you're handing all the power to the village people. And you see, when you hand all the power to others, you also hand them your future. So when you blame your village people, it means they are responsible for your future. When you blame the government, they are responsible for your future. And that's a dangerous place to be. Right? So if you want help, right, in building responsibility, help in building financial discipline, right? Currently, we're having the Mastery Self-Discipline course in the Money Click and in the Naira Academy, and you can be a part of that course. If you want help in practical systems for progress, then the Money Click program helps you move from excuses to execution. The Money Click is where you need to be. Is where you need to be. And if you want details on registering for the Money Click program, the details are scrolling at the bottom of your screen. If you're joining us on YouTube or Facebook, just look at the bottom of your screen, right? If you're joining us on Instagram, look at the top of your screen and you see our numbers, reach out to us and start getting ready for the 2027 Money Click program, because you can no longer join the 2026 cohorts. We are closed for 2026. But this is your opportunity to join for 2020. Join now before you say, had I known. Join 2027 now before you say, oh, I forgot, because time moves so fast. And before you know it, you're already in 2027. I see, yes, this comment from Madam Adamobioke says, we are so good in giving blame and excuse. Yes, we're so good at it. We're so good at it, right? And we need to move away from it. So join the Money Click today, right? Because the road out of stuckness begins with one sentence. The road out of getting stuck, the road from becoming unstuck, starts with one sentence. And that is, what can I do now? And one thing I know you can do now is register and join the Money Click program, right? Amongst all the other things that we've said here today. And I want you to remember the two questions that you should always ask yourself. What external factors affected this? And what internal factors can I improve next time? This is where we'll come to the end of today's session. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here today, right? And this is where we'll come to the end of today's session, right? Black Mysterious says, people waste a big blame, now them be the pepper pass, transfer of aggression. Interesting. Thank you so much. Yes, Madam Tony George has another story for us here today. So she said, yeah, just yesterday, my co-worker said because of the food produced in the US, that is why people are diabetic and sick, and that is why she is fat. And coach, me when they listen to her, be like, hey, coach, I weak. That is quite interesting, right? You blame the whole system, but in that same system, there are still places where if you don't like, there are still places where you can buy the food that is healthy for you, but you choose to buy the ones that in her own words will affect her, right? But the truth is there are always options. We always have options, right? And it's quite interesting how a whole person will blame a whole country for being fat. That's how much we get to blame. Oh, it's not my fault that I'm fat. People even blame. People tell, oh, it's my gene. It's not my fault that I'm fat. It's my gene. Come on. We need to do away with the blames, right? And take responsibility. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, my cohort 1 leader. I see you, Mrs. Stella Emily. Thank you so much, my cohort 2 leaders also. I see you, Mrs. Ann also. I also see the match cohort leader, Mr. Chris FOB, and all the billionaires who are present in the house. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. And if you're here and you're not yet a billionaire, I don't know what you're waiting for. Thank you so much, and we'll see you all next week, right? And today is my daughter's birthday, so let me go and celebrate with her. Have a good day, everybody, and have a blessed day ahead. Bye-bye.